On the Monday, December 29th episode of The Young and the Restless, Billy defended Phyllis to Jack. Sharon tried to calm Noah, and Matt weighed his options. At Crimson Lights, Phyllis noticed Billy staring at his bare wrist and asked if he'd lost something. He replied that he was looking at the Christmas gift his kids had given him, and she asked whether it was an invisible watch. Billy explained that his children had gotten him a box to put his watch in as their way of telling him to slow down. Phyllis wondered whether his kids had also taken his phone, since he hadn't called to finalize their deal for her to help save Jabot. Billy shared that the Abbotts had decided to put Phyllis on the back burner because Jack wanted to consider other options. Phyllis huffed that she might not be available when those options failed. Billy revealed that he'd defended her to his brother, but Jack didn't trust her not to double-cross them. Billy suggested that Jack might change his mind if she told the truth about what Victor had offered her in exchange for the AI program. Phyllis maintained that she'd never been in cahoots with Victor, and she didn't know if he even had the AI software. Billy argued that Victor had already used the program on Cain, and she was the best in the business at hacking computers. Phyllis was insulted at the implication that she had no other talents or qualities. She wished people would acknowledge that she was a good mom who was compassionate and giving with her friends and family. Billy recognized that she was those things, but she kept making deals with the devil. Billy surmised that Victor had cut Phyllis loose, and he warned that the Abbotts were about to do the same thing if she didn't tell them what they wanted to know. Phyllis insisted that Summer was her only motivation to help Jabot, and she wanted her daughter out of the line of fire in the constant battle between the Newmans and the Abbotts. Phyllis cited the way Billy's face had lit up when he'd talked about his gift from his kids, who wanted him to know they supported him and his efforts to change. Phyllis said she'd give anything for Daniel and Summer to do the same thing for her, and getting Marchetti for her daughter couldn't even touch upon what she owed Summer. Billy called it the most honest thing Phyllis had ever said to him, and he believed her. He added that he'd forge ahead with her plan if it were up to him, but she had to convince Jack. At the Abbott mansion, Jack left a voicemail for Diane, letting her know that Kyle was trying to buy time with Jabot's suppliers. He inquired whether she'd heard from Michael, and he mentioned that he was waiting for a call from Nikki. Jack assured Diane they would win. The doorbell rang, and he let Phyllis in. She announced that she was there to give him his company back. Jack assumed Billy had told Phyllis that her offer was off the table, but she suggested Jack put it back on. Phyllis demanded to know what had changed since the Abbotts had offered her a small fortune to get the AI program back from Victor. Jack considered Phyllis to be a loose cannon, and he preferred to pursue other options. Phyllis demanded that he tell her what or who he was dumping her for. Jack divulged that his new option didn't include hacking, so Phyllis's skills were no longer required. Phyllis guessed that he had someone on the inside. Jack refused to share his plans and declared that they were done. He politely wished her a happy new year, and she calmly wished him the same before walking out. Billy entered the mansion and noted that he'd seen Phyllis leaving. Jack relayed that he'd told her they were looking at other options, but Billy thought Phyllis was still their best one. Billy sensed that she had been on the level about supporting Summer, and he trusted Phyllis to get the job done more than relying on Michael or Nikki to betray Victor. Billy proposed that they implement all three plans and see which one wins. Billy reasoned that their troubles would be over if they got hold of the AI program. Jack stressed that they would destroy it, and Billy half-heartedly agreed. Jack said he had a familiar feeling about Billy and what his complicated brain was thinking. Meanwhile, Phyllis left a message for Michael, asking to meet. At the Overlook in Chancellor Park, Matt approached Nick and warned him not to stand too close to the railing because it was a big fall. Nick demanded to know where Sienna was. Matt ominously indicated that his wife was somewhere safe, but he didn't know where she might end up if his meeting with Nick didn't go well. Matt hoped Nick had followed his directions and not alerted the police or Victor's goons, or Sienna would end up dead. Nick swore it was just him. Matt bragged that it had been a neat trick to fake his death years earlier, but there wasn't time to tell Nick how he'd done it. Matt referred to the deal Nick had mentioned over the phone. Nick snapped that it wasn't a negotiation since Victor had ruined Matt financially. Nick offered $1 million in exchange for Sienna'S safe return, provided that Matt disappeared. Matt taunted that Nick was all talk and no action, and he bet Nick was dying to hear how Matt had faked his own death. Nick dryly stated that it was nice to hear his nemesis admit that he was Matt Clark. Matt figured that he had nothing left to protect, since the Newmans had once again screwed him. Matt condemned Nick's family for using money to solve all their problems, and he scoffed at $1 million being enough. Matt pondered whether he should have taken Noah instead, since there would have been more zeros on the offer. Matt noted that Nick barely knew Sienna, but Nick contended that his son cared about her. Matt mocked Noah's puppy love, and he cracked that he'd be doing Noah a favor by putting him down. Nick slugged Matt multiple times and threatened to toss him into the ravine. Matt pointed out that Sienna would die if Nick followed through, and Noah would never forgive Nick. Matt considered throwing himself over the rail to make everyone think Nick pushed him, and he crowed that it would be just like old times. Matt pictured Nick spending the rest of his life in prison. Nick opted to take his chances with the police, expecting that he'd walk like he had the last time Matt had tried to set him up for murder. Matt stood back from the railing, and Nick proclaimed that Matt was the one who was all talk. Nick prompted Matt to take the $1 million deal. Matt agreed to take the money and live to fight another day. Matt said once he was safely out of the country, he'd send his account information for an offshore transfer, and then he'd disclose where Sienna was. Nick hissed that he'd hunt Matt down to the ends of the earth if he ever went after anyone in Nick's family again. Matt insisted that they do it his way or not at all, before stalking off. At the cottage, Sharon suggested that she and Noah take a walk to take his mind off things, but he fretted that he didn't know if Sienna was alive or dead. He thought he should have gone to meet Matt, and Sharon questioned what Noah would have done if he had gone instead of Nick. Noah anticipated that he would have beaten Sienna's location out of Matt. Sharon lectured that he would have played right into Matt's hands and signed Sienna's death warrant. Sharon handed Noah a beer to take the edge off, but he couldn't relax. Noah wondered why the army of people they had looking for Sienna hadn't found her yet, so he headed to the door to join the search for her. Sharon sternly stated that she could make a call to have 12 people show up to stop him. Noah bemoaned that he was his mother's prisoner, but Sharon protested that she was only trying to protect him. Noah thought she didn't understand how deep his love for Sienna was. Sharon asked if he'd felt the same way about Allie, and she pressed to know what had happened between them. Noah vaguely stated that people broke up and moved on, but Sharon recalled that he and Allie had been happy just a few months earlier. Noah claimed that things had already been shaky, but he hadn't wanted his mother to worry because she'd been going through enough. Noah explained that he and Allie had inevitably drifted apart when they'd been based in different cities, and it hadn't had anything to do with Sienna. Sharon continued to pepper him with questions about how he and Sienna had met, but Noah said all he cared about was getting Sienna back alive and safe. Sharon swore she hadn't meant to pry. Noah groaned that he was just going crazy with worry, and he wondered why they hadn't heard from Nick. Sharon firmly stated that she wasn't worried, since Matt was desperate. Sharon called Matt a classic narcissist whose only priority was himself when his own skin was at stake. Sharon confirmed that Nick didn't plan to let Matt just walk away, but they had to let Matt think he could. Nick returned, and Noah asked if Sienna was okay. Nick explained that he'd only started to put things into motion, but Matt had said Sienna was still alive. Nick revealed that Matt wouldn't tell them where she was until he got his payoff and was safely out of the country. Noah ranted that they couldn't just let the madman leave. Nick insisted that they let it play out. Meanwhile, Matt joined Annie in a motel room and glowered down at an unconscious Sienna on the bed. Matt reported that Nick had offered him a nice chunk of change. Matt intended to take the payoff, but he hadn't yet decided if he'd give Sienna back. Matt added that the $1 million question was whether or not he'd let Noah live. Hello everyone! Welcome back to my channel, Pulse Canvas. It's me, Julie, here. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Keep watching. So let's dive into today's video. The Young and the Restless spoilers for Tuesday, December 31st, have Victor rewarding Michael's loyalty, Nikki sharing a secret with Jack, and Claire standing by her actions. Victor Newman is ruthless when it comes to vanquishing his enemies. However, he's equally generous to those who do right by him. On Tuesday's show, watch for Victor to reward Michael's loyalty. Michael and Lauren recently spoke in hushed tones at Crimson Lights that Michael needs to be careful with his next move. Victor can take away just as easily as he gives something. The only thing that would keep Victor happy is blind loyalty. Is Michael ready to give that? The friendship between Nikki Newman and Jack Abbott grinds Victor's gears. He doesn't want Jack and Nikki ever talking to each other again. He won't be happy to know that on Tuesday's episode, Nikki is going to share a secret with Jack. Will this information give Jack the edge in getting Jabot Cosmetics up and running? Jack took the company offline to save it from Victor's AI attack. But that decision came with drawbacks, as evidenced in the hit piece that Newman Media did when it presented Jabot as unstable. Claire's family and loved ones understand that she was under the influence of evil Aunt Jordan when she committed all kinds of heinous acts. But that doesn't mean that Claire won't stand up for herself. She's had it with Audra Charles and her quips. Claire recently threw a drink in Audra's face at Society. On Tuesday's show, watch for Claire to stand by her actions. We suppose Audra could file charges against Claire because throwing a drink at someone may be considered assault. She has a witness in Holden Novak, who saw Claire do the deed. Abby may have cameras installed in her eatery, too. We all know how it goes every New Year. It's our chance to start over, make some real changes, and try something new. Sometimes those changes stick, but a lot of times they don't. So maybe instead of trying something new, it might be a good idea to go back for a do-over, like, say, a reunion between the young and the restless Adam and Sally. Right now, he and Chelsea are struggling a bit. Or maybe we should say she's struggling with how much Adam's towing Victor's line and destroying countless lives. And to make matters worse, it looks like Adam's going to be sharing a special New Year's Eve moment with his ex. According to spoilers, the two of them are going to be taking a walk down memory lane and discussing their complicated past. That's to put it mildly. And let's face it, while Sally is none too happy with Adam either, at the moment, this kind of talk on a holiday usually leads to a whole lot of emotion, and maybe even something completely unexpected, like a kiss. When Courtney Hope spoke with us, we just had to ask if she still loved Adam. "I don't think she ever stopped loving him," the actress admitted. "I don't see how she could." Their relationship ending left Sally so gutted and heartbroken. I think for the longest time she was like, "This is my person. This is who I'm going to be with. This is who I'm sacrificing for and investing in." It's tough to shake those kinds of feelings, no matter how you've moved on and changed. And Hope shared that, for the most part, Sally has definitely evolved, but I think there definitely is a part of her that always knows what they had together. She knows how special their relationship was, and even though she knew that he continued to love Chelsea through all of it, I think she still will die on the hill that they had something so special and unique. The Young and the Restless spoilers reveal that Victor Newman needs some tough love. He is a complicated character, but in recent days, he has shown his ornery side to the 10th degree. Unless this changes, we fully support Nikki Newman leaving him for good. She told him in no uncertain terms that she would leave his behind unless he let go of the stolen AI program and stopped harassing Jack Abbott. Will he do the right thing? Time will tell. As Claire Newman noticed last week, Victor needs to focus less on getting even with Jack and more on making things right with Nikki. Priorities! Here are 3 things Victor needs to work on before Nikki acquiesces and allows Victor her companionship. Tell us if you agree. Victor had the temerity to tell Claire that her friend with benefits Holden Novak is, and we quote, "a man of ill repute." Well, hello, Kettle. Please meet Pot. What an audacious double standard Victor lives by. Good thing he's perfect. Not. Before Nikki considers coming back, we hope Victor loses his need to judge others. Instead of doing better, Victor too often tries to smooth over his bad behavior with trinkets and flattery. Case in point, instead of getting rid of the AI program as Nikki requested, he gave her a gaudy necklace for Christmas. Okay, he still has time to get rid of the software before New Year's, but we can't help but notice that his first attempt to smooth things over with Nikki is via a bribe. Third, Victor has used his orphanage upbringing as an excuse for bad behavior one too many times. Instead of vowing that he will do better, Victor relied on his orphan story to gain sympathy. That was a long time ago, Victor. We won't mention how many years, but suffice it to say that you've had time to process your unfortunate childhood. People with less than you exhibit much more growth. Tell us why in our fans, should Nikki leave Victor once and for all? The Young and the Restless, spoilers and updates tease that Mariah Copeland will soon deal with a nightmare come true. As she is still in a treatment center for her unsettling experience overseas, when Ian Ward comes for a visit, she thinks she's hallucinating, but is she? Ian Ward's last scene on the CBS soap, which was several months ago, showed Ian in an ambulance being taken from the Newman Ranch, and supposedly dead, he woke up. This was after he and Jordan Howard were killed. Or at least, we're pretty sure she was, after the nightmare they put the Newmans through. This ended an arc where Sharon Newman was made to believe she killed Heather Stevens when actually Jordan killed her. Sharon had been drugged, but she didn't realize it, thanks to the complicity of Jordan and Ian. Everyone assumes that Ian met his end after being shot by Victor Newman. But did he? Mariah had been on a business trip overseas when she got drunk one night and ended up having an intimate encounter with an older man, a stranger she'd never met. She apparently was reminded of Ian in some way or another, and flipped out and killed him, or at least she thought she had. It was later revealed he survived. She has remained in this treatment center ever since, forsaking even her wife Tessa Porter and their daughter Aria Porter Copeland. Mariah has pushed all her loved ones away, feeling unworthy of their love. Even Sharon hasn't been able to get through to her. So, when Ian shows up to visit her in the episode airing Friday, January 2nd in the United States, she likely thinks she's hallucinating or having a PTSD flashback. As previously mentioned, after Victor shot Ian several months ago, he woke up briefly in the ambulance, and it's possible the ambulance driver and the paramedics were cult members or henchmen. That means even if he was reported as deceased, it may not be true after all. It's nothing the sinister cult leader hasn't done before. Mariah had been raised in his cult and first came to Genoa City as his operative to torment Sharon. But then they bonded. But for Mariah, Ian's visit will confuse and frighten her. She will likely think she's having a post-traumatic stress disorder attack, or she's hallucinating. But it looks like what's really happening is her worst nightmare is coming true, and her tormentor is back and in the land of the living. The Young and the Restless spoilers and updates suggest that Lily Winters might bid farewell to Cain Ashby due to his fixation on Phyllis Summers. Lily could reveal her plans to leave Genoa City, leaving Cain heartbroken over the setback in their relationship. While it can be argued that Phyllis is more obsessed with Cain than he is with her, it's clear that he has a strong attraction to her as well. Cain simply cannot seem to let go of Phyllis, which presents a significant obstacle that must be addressed before he can genuinely pursue a reconciliation with Lily. We firmly believe that Cain still harbors feelings for Lily and is eager to restore their family unit. Nevertheless, he struggles to keep Phyllis out of the equation long enough to truly give himself a fair chance with Lily. Recently, Lily enjoyed a delightful evening with Cain when he accompanied her as her date to the Abbott Communications relaunch event. It was refreshing to witness Cain and Lily engage in playful banter, free from the previous tension that had clouded their interactions. Additionally, Tracy Abbott offered Lily some valuable advice about embracing joy, which seemed to resonate with her as she decided to visit Cain's office in the December 23rd episode of Y&R. Unfortunately, Phyllis was already present, attempting to charm Cain with her latest proposal. Lily's discomfort was palpable as she witnessed Phyllis and Cain sharing a passionate kiss, especially since she believed she was making progress with her former partner. It appears that Cain's journey to reunite with Lily is a classic case of one step forward and two steps back. Now that Lily has witnessed firsthand the unsettling grip that Phyllis still seems to have on Cain, she might not be too keen on lingering around to observe any more of their interactions. We are likely approaching the time when Christelle Khalil will begin her maternity leave, and seeing Cain and Phyllis engage in their latest passionate encounter could serve as a pivotal moment for Lily. Even though Lily has struggled to finalize any holiday arrangements with the twins, This situation might just inspire her to carve out some quality time and escape for a little while. It's possible that Lily could leave Cain in shock with a sudden farewell soon, making it abundantly clear that Phyllis is a significant factor in her decision. According to spoilers for The Young and the Restless, Cain is set to face more emotional turmoil in the near future, so be sure to stay tuned for any updates that may come our way. The Young and the Restless spoilers reveal there are 3 must-see moments for the week of December 29th, 25. Fans can expect Tessa Porter to explore her heart. Mariah Copeland is visited by a villain. Plus, Victor Newman helps Nick Newman strategize regarding Matt Clark. Keep reading, and let's talk about what is coming up in the CBS soap opera. Let's start off with Tessa, who is a single mother right now. The girl has no clue what is going on with Mariah. The last time that Tessa went to the mental clinic to see her wife, Mariah seemed to be getting worse instead of better. Mariah was also very closed off and pushed Tessa away. Tessa has been focusing on work, the holidays, and Aria Copeland Porter. However, she will soon decide to explore her feelings for Daniel Romalotti Jr. Then, at the end of the week, Daniel makes a promise to Tessa. It seems that Tessa is going to have to decide if she's going to move on or wait for Mariah forever. Daniel's promise might also be that nothing has to be permanent or serious. That could give Tessa a bit of room if she's still uncertain. At the mental clinic, Mariah will get an unexpected visitor. It is once again Ian Ward. The man will continue trying to get Mariah to explore her dark side. However, I do worry about Mariah's mental health, considering a dead man is visiting her in a locked-down psychiatric unit. The Young and the Restless spoilers reveal that another must-see moment focuses on Matt. Fans know that Nick will try to make a deal with the villain. Nick has offered him a huge payoff in exchange for Sienna Bacall. However, Noah Newman is frantic that his father has made a big mistake. Meanwhile, we have Matt, who confides in Detective Annie Stewart. The villain admits that he's not sure if he will return Sienna, even if he gets the money. Then, Matt warned that he could also take Noah's life. By the end of the week, expect Victor to help Nick come up with a plan to deal with Matt once and for all. However, what does that mean for Sienna and Noah? The Young and the Restless spoilers for the next 2 weeks tease some interesting twists. Fans can expect to find out about Sienna Bacall's fate. Nick Newman made an offer, but he could lose Noah Newman in the process. Plus, Claire Grace Newman has a condition for Holden Novak. Keep reading, and let's talk about what is coming up in the CBS soap opera. Before getting to the 2-weekers, let's discuss what is coming up from December 29th to January soon. Fans will see Holden invite Claire out for New Year's Eve. The blonde ends up saying it could be arranged, but only under one condition. Could this have something to do with Claire wanting more dirt on Audra Charles? Or perhaps Claire already has plans with her family and will rope Holden in on the fun. It will make Holden think he could get another shot with Claire. However, she will also chase after Kyle Abbott. So, that will give Holden some mixed feelings. With Kyle yanking Harrison Abbott away from Claire, things seem to be getting a bit volatile. Over with Cain Ashby, he tries to secure a New Year's Eve date with Lily Winters. The tycoon claims he will spend the holiday alone, and there is no one he would rather be with her. However, Lily could start grilling Cain about Phyllis Summers. There is also Nick, who meets with Matt Clark. Nick will offer the villain a huge payoff if they can get Sienna's location. By the end of Monday's episode, expect Matt to consider the deal. Then, he goes to where Sienna is being held. The woman seems to be drugged. Matt will tell Detective Annie Stewart that he might betray Nick's deal in the end. Matt also threatens to end Noah's life. However, it seems that Annie is a money person. The woman wanted to be sure Matt could make it worth her while after Victor Newman's AI program wiped him out financially. We know that Nick will try to brainstorm with Victor. While Victor is no fan of Sienna's, Noah is frantic. So, Victor might come to the rescue, but what does that mean for Sienna and Noah's future? The Young and the Restless spoilers for the week of January 5th reveal that we will find out the fates of Matt, Annie, Sienna, Noah, and Nick. Over with Adam Newman, he faces a moral dilemma regarding his father. However, if he turns against Victor, that could come at a very steep price. The same goes for Michael Baldwin, so stay tuned. The Young and the Restless recap for Tuesday, December 30th, reveals that Jack Abbott's plan against Victor Newman will fail. At least one of them. Holden Novak will also decide to give the whole truth to Claire Newman. So let's discuss what's coming up on Tuesday's Y&R episode. At the park overlook, Holden will catch up with Claire and push her to just let him handle Audra from now on. Claire will once again push for the rest of what happened in Los Angeles since Sienna Bacall admitted there's more to the story. Holden will keep downplaying things before the conversation shifts to Kyle Abbott shutting the door on his relationship with Claire. After Holden asks for a real New Year's Eve date, Claire will agree if he tells her the whole truth about what went down in LA. Meanwhile, Audra will join Sally Spectra at Billy Abbott's place, where she'll accept a handbag as a Christmas gift and rant about Claire throwing a drink in her face. Sally will quiz Audra about her past with Holden, but Audra will try to convince her that it was no big deal despite her obvious discomfort. At Society, Victor will saunter over to Billy and Jack's table. Although Victor will taunt Jack and Billy about their failing companies, Jack will act like Victor's lost and doesn't even know it yet. Later, Jack will talk to Billy at the Abbott mansion and admit he thinks Victor was rattled despite all his blustering. Billy will get all riled up over how much he wants to destroy Victor, so Jack will worry about his brother heading back down a risky, vengeful road. Nikki Newman will eventually call Jack and learn he's at home, so she'll head over to speak with him in person. That'll give Nikki a chance to admit she's wavered on her ultimatum with Victor after spending Christmas together. Jack will be disappointed over Nikki not coming through on delivering the AI program, but she'll still want to talk Victor out of his plans. Although Jack will think Nikki's efforts will prove pointless, she'll hope Victor's love for her will win out in the end. Once Billy makes it home, Audra will take off in a hurry. Billy will assume he's the problem, but Sally will think Audra bolted because she was digging for details about her LA history. Sally will worry about the secrets Audra's keeping, but Billy will seem more concerned about Sally since he'll admit he thinks Audra is trouble. At Crimson Lights, Audra will run into Claire again and take some jabs, but Holden will privately push Audra to cool it because this goes somewhere they'll all regret. While Claire's waiting for Holden on the patio, Holden will tell Audra that he's going to confess everything to Claire. Audra will flip out and try to convince Holden that he's got more to lose than her. As Holden joins Claire in the patio area, Audra will seem nervous over by the counter. Back at Society, Victor will summon Michael Baldwin and push him to look into whatever the Abbotts are planning. After Victor expresses doubt about whether Michael's actually following through on orders these days, Michael will wonder if they've truly hit the reset button or not. Victor will hand over a genuine Roman coin as a gift and seek confirmation on whether he can trust Michael. After Michael assures Victor that, of course he can, he'll claim he's sorry there was ever any doubt. The Young and the Restless spoilers say Michael could land in hot water if he sticks to his deception scheme, so we'll bring you updates on any shocking news that's brewing. On The Young and the Restless, Nick made a violent threat towards Matt, which could cause more problems for his family. In the December 29th episode of The Young and the Restless, Nick resorted to extreme measures to protect his family. He made it clear to Matt Clark that he wasn't taking any chances this time around. It was a powerful moment that shifted the balance between them. Suddenly, Nick had all the power, but it won't last for long. At the Chancellor Park overlook, Nick and Matt came face to face again. Nick demanded that Matt share details on Sienna's whereabouts, but Matt refused to do so. He claimed that Sienna could be anywhere if their meeting didn't end well. Nick reminded Matt that he followed his instructions and arrived alone. Matt wanted to work on a deal so Nick could get Sienna back. Nick didn't want to negotiate. He reminded Matt that Victor drained his bank accounts and business. Matt argued that what Nick's father did was illegal, but then Nick reminded Matt Clark of the insidious crimes he committed over 20 years ago. Then, in a surprising twist, Nick offered Matt $1 million for the safe return of Sienna. Matt admitted to being who he is and that he lost everything. He joked that Nick should be thanking him for taking Sienna instead of Noah. Matt wondered what difference it would make if Sienna were gone. Nick argued that he was concerned about Sienna because his son cares about her. Matt said that Noah wasn't the only man whom Sienna brought to their marital bed. Then, he snapped his fingers and claimed he could take Noah down like that. Nick punched Matt in the stomach and then soccer punched him in the face. He threatened his long-running enemy with violence. Nick wanted to make it clear to Matt that he was no longer a threat to his family. He could finally take him down. And he doesn't care if he has to go to jail to accomplish the task. Nick was confident that, with his family ties, wealth, and prestige, he would clear his name. Meanwhile, Matt would be the one who could end up back behind bars. Nick encouraged Matt to take the deal. After all, he could use the money since Victor left him high and dry. Matt agreed to take the money and told Nick that he would give him the account number once he left the country. This plan could pose an even bigger problem. Matt agreed to share Sienna'S whereabouts only once he received the money. If Nick pulls a trick, then Matt will be out for blood, and it could be fatal. Victor makes a strategic show of loyalty. Nikki opens her heart to Jack, and Claire refuses to back down on Tuesday's The Young and the Restless. The Young and the Restless, spoilers for Tuesday, December 30th, center on calculated decisions, private reckonings, and lines that do not get walked back. Victor makes a deliberate move to reward loyalty. Nikki chooses honesty over silence. And Claire makes it clear she is not apologizing full for the choices she's already made. None of it is loud, but all of it has consequences. Victor has never been sentimental about loyalty. He expects it, demands it, and often takes it for granted. But on Tuesday's episode, he does something different. He formally acknowledges it. After Michael once again proves himself willing to stand in Victor's corner, Victor makes it clear that he plans to reward it. The gesture is not emotional, but it is deliberate. Victor's recognition isn't just about gratitude, it's about solidifying power, control, and trust within his inner circle. Michael understands exactly what this means. A reward from Victor is never simple. It binds as much as it benefits. Accepting it puts Michael in deeper, not freer, and Victor knows that. Nikki turns to Jack and shares a secret she knows that affects him. Jack is not just a confidant. He is someone with history, emotional weight, and deep ties to Victor. That makes Nikki's decision to tell Jack what she knows all the more meaningful. She's placing trust in a man who stands on the other side of several long-standing conflicts with Victor. Whether Nikki intends it or not, her honesty has the potential to ripple outward. Jack listens, and it could change everything. After facing judgment and pressure from Kyle, Claire chooses not to soften, retract, or reframe what she's done. She stands by it. Fully. That choice marks a shift. Instead of reacting defensively, Claire claims ownership of her decisions, and whatever consequences follow. It's a quiet but significant moment. Claire isn't asking for approval anymore. She's defining herself. Here are your spoilers for The Young and the Restless episode airing Monday, December 29th, 2025. When Victor is fueled with rage about Nikki's loyalty to Jack, Billy and Kyle find themselves on common ground, and Victoria worries about Claire's connection to Holden. Victor Newman and Nikki Reed Newman bonded at the holidays over mutual love of family and shared expensive, personalized gifts. But Christmas is over, so don't expect things to go back to how they were before. On Monday's show, watch for Victor to be fueled with rage by Nikki's loyalty to Jack Abbott. Victor doesn't care that Nikki sees the situation with Jack differently. As Victor pointed out to Claire recently, this isn't just about Jack insinuating himself over Nikki's sobriety last year. Victor has a history with Jack, and he's determined to take him down. Well, we can only think of one uncle that Kyle has, and that's his Uncle Billy. The two bonded recently, and now, on Monday's show, they're going to find themselves on common ground. What could that be? Of course, they're both loyal to the Jabot clan. They'll do anything to keep Victor from ruining the company. But how else are they connected? Will Billy want to help out at Jabot? Will Kyle want to chip at Abbott Communications? No one can deny that the Abbotts United will be tough to beat, even if that person trying to outdo them is Victor Newman. On Monday's show, watch for Victoria to grow concerned about Claire's relationship with Holden. Vicky has met Holden and has no reason not to like him, but she's watching Claire go from one relationship to another. Audiences know that some bad stuff went down in Los Angeles between Holden, Audra Charles, and a mystery man whom Audra tried to scam. Vicky's got motherly instincts, and she's going to want to use them to make sure Claire is okay. But will Claire listen to her mother? Tune in to find out. Young and the Restless gives Phyllis Summers ready to steal the AI back from Victor Newman. But I expect she is going to go rogue and betray the Abbotts when she starts selfishly working her own angle yet again. We're going to talk about how Phyllis may flip the script after stealing Cain Ashby's AI back from the mustache. So recently, Phyllis cut a deal with Billy Abbott that she would steal the AI back from Victor, but only if the Abbotts sign over Marchetti to Summer Newman. Now the deal was she'd steal it and give it to them to destroy. And no surprise, Jack Abbott was more than happy to make the deal. And I'm sure Phyllis demanded that they go ahead and sign Marchetti over before she does anything. So the Abbotts want the AI out of Victor's hands so they can destroy it. And Victor can't run power mad and ruin anybody else's company or life. But this week, Phyllis confirmed that she has other plans for the AI that she's going to steal back from Victo. So Phyllis goes to Cain with a peace offering. She brings him a little wooden puzzle. Phyllis got it for him because Cain likes puzzles and mazes. I guess he liked it because there was one at the chateau. And Phyllis wants them to be friends. And she's telling Cain they can make things happen together. So Phyllis is all about, Cain, we make a good team L. We shouldn't waste time hating each other because it's boring. And Phyllis claims she came there with humility and thinks that them working together is the answer. Cain seems skeptical because you can't trust her. We all know that. And he doesn't think Phyllis needs him for anything. But she disagrees with Cain and says they need each other. Phyllis says they're perfect for each other. And then she told Cain she wants to turn around and use the AI against Victor to take over Newman Enterprises. And Cain is intrigued by the idea of running Newman Enterprises. But he doesn't like it when Phyllis calls him Aristotle Dumas. He's insisting he doesn't want to be that person anymore. But Phyllis thinks Cain should let the Dumas inside him come out and play. And then Phyllis kisses Cain. And even though it doesn't look like he's kissing Phyllis back, of course, that's when Lily Winters walks through the door of the Cain's train and is horrified, even though it's definitely one-sided on Phyllis's behalf. I do suspect Lily assumes the worst of Cain because he said he was done with Phyllis, but there she is kissing him. So, I think the damage might be done with Lily, at least for now, unless she gives Cain the chance to explain and gives him the benefit of the doubt, which I don't know if she will. So he may stick to his guns and tell Phyllis, kick rocks. But then again, Cain seems very intrigued by Phyllis's proposal. And despite Cain playing it cool about Victor destroying Arabesque, Cain doesn't like that Victor used his own AI against him. So Cain might be considering doing this thing and working with Phyllis for revenge. But on the other hand, Cain claims to want to be a better man so he could turn Phyllis down, especially if he can get Lily to believe him that Phyllis was kissing him and he wasn't into it at all. But if Cain thinks Lily is 100% done with him, he might throw in with Phyllis because he's angry and wants to lash out at something and someone, and Victor's a good target. Whether or not Cain decides to team up with Phyllis, though, I think she's going to go for it with the AI. And of course, even if Cain works with Phyllis to destroy Victor, we could still see Cain giving Phyllis the boot once Lily's back in town after Crystal Khalil's maternity leave is over. Either way, whether or not Cain plays along, I'm sure Phyllis is going to go ahead with her plan. And if she can steal the AI back, I can totally see her going rogue and not giving it to Jack or Billy like she promised. She hates Victor, and now Phyllis has even more reasons to destroy him. She's hated Victor for a long time, for a lot of reasons, for a lot of very good reasons, and he just screwed Phyllis over again. So, I think that iced the vendetta cake, and she's not going to stop on Young and the Restless. And honestly, Victor kind of deserves a little payback and a little karma coming his way to kick him in the bottom. I'd be happy to see Phyllis deliver a little butt-whooping on Victor, because honestly, Phyllis is the person that Victor would probably most hate to defeat him, even more so than Jack, because Victor does not see Phyllis as a worthy opponent. So, I think it would kill Victor if Phyllis wrecked Newman Enterprises. And let's be real, a lot of fans are sick of Victor always going after the Abbotts for revenge and playing God with people's lives. For way too long, Victor has gotten away with everything. So if Phyllis goes rogue and takes him down, I think that's karma long overdue. And really, Billy already expects Phyllis to betray them, and Jack knows she can't be trusted. However, as long as Phyllis keeps the AI out of Victor's hands and only uses it against Newman Enterprises, I think Billy, Jack, and Diane Jenkins might sit back and laugh. It is about time that Victor gets what he deserves, and somebody finally puts him in his place. And honestly, why not Phyllis? Over the years, Victor has done so much bad to her. So, I'd kind of be here for Phyllis taking a wrecking ball to Newman Enterprises. Nikki Newman's already ready to leave Victor, and she just demanded he turn the AI over to her and said she'll destroy it so that he can't use it against Jack. So, right now, Victor is faced with Nikki's ultimatum. And she said she's sick of all of this because whether Victor likes it or not, Jack saved her life. And basically, Victor's got one chance. If he doesn't give the AI to Nikki or let her stand there and watch his tech team delete it, then I say Victor deserves whatever happens next. Either he needs to have some sort of personal epiphany, a Christmas miracle, and does what Nikki asks and gives the AI to her, otherwise Victor may get a rude awakening that's been a long time coming. I don't think he knows he's at a crossroads that's so serious, but Phyllis is ready to pounce, and I think she's going to take action soon, whether or not Cain decides to be her co-conspirator. And honestly, it could be amazing. Victor was just talking about how Jack's a Nepo baby who was given everything, and Victor made his own fortune with no help. So, even if Phyllis ruins Newman, Victor could make a comeback, and that would be a tale of redemption that I'd like to see. But I do suspect Cain is going to be on board with Phyllis, especially after Lily takes off. But either way, Victor could very well lose his empire, or at the very least, Phyllis could cripple it. And then Victor has to do the same thing Jack did and take Newman Enterprises offline, and he'd have to unplug Newman Media and take Chancellor offline too, which could be devastating to all these companies. And Billy would jump at the chance to splash that news on Abbottcom the same way that they splashed on Newman Media what Jack had to do taking Jabot offline. Billy would love to publish that Victor is failing, and his companies are going down the tubes and he's scrambling. And I mean, honestly, the Abbotts might even throw a party for Phyllis, even though she may go back on her word to them. The Young and the Restless spoilers are in for the week of December 29th, 2025. Fans can expect Mariah Copeland to be haunted. Tessa Porter explores her feelings for Daniel Romalotti Jr. Plus, Nick Newman gets into a dangerous situation with Matt Clark. Keep reading, and let's talk about what is coming up in the CBS soap opera. As a friendly reminder, there will be no new episode on Thursday, January 1st, 2026. However, new episodes will resume after the new year. Let's start off with Mariah. Fans know that the redhead is in a mental clinic dealing with her trauma from Ian Ward and the man she tried to kill. However, Tessa doesn't understand why Mariah seems to be getting worse instead of better. There is a photo that shows Mariah speaking to Ian. So, once again, the girl will be haunted. Mariah doesn't look too good either. As for Tessa, she is getting tired of not getting any answers. So, while Mariah is in treatment, Tessa is like a single parent. It's lonely, and what makes it worse is that Tessa has no idea what the future is going to look like or what to tell Aria Copeland Porter. However, there are also some feelings between Tessa and Daniel. While Daniel will make her a promise, the singer decides to explore her feelings. The Young and the Restless spoilers reveal that Nick meets with Matt. However, it doesn't go the way that anyone expects. Matt really is off his rocker and is considering a payout from Nick. However, Matt will also admit to Detective Annie Stewart that he doesn't know if he will honor the terms. It seems that not only is Sienna Bacall in grave danger, but so is Noah Newman. However, by the end of the week, expect Matt to face off with Victor Newman. Fans can also expect Phyllis Summers to have an unexpected gift for Jack Abbott. However, I don't believe for 1 second that this is all for Summer Newman. Nikki Newman shares a secret with Jack. Will this affect the gift from Phyllis or Nikki's marriage? Meanwhile, Victor rewards Michael Baldwin's loyalty. However, this could make it harder for Michael to do the right thing. As for Claire Grace Newman, she stands by her actions. However, what does that mean for Kyle Abbott and Holden Novak? Also, Cain Ashby stuns Lily Winters. However, Lily has seen Cain too close to Phyllis too many times. Plus, Adam Newman and Sally Spectra talk about the past. Which storyline are you looking forward to seeing the most during the week of December 29th, 2025? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. Keep watching the soap on CBS or Paramount Plus to find out what happens next.